Okay. Can you turn that up a little bit? All right, y'all. Hey, everybody. Hey, Sacramento. It is Wednesday. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key. We are selling Sacramento. If you're watching us, we're live on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Periscope. Periscope until the end of the month because Periscope is going away, but it's all transferring over to Twitter, so you can catch us there as well. If you go to Facebook or YouTube, look me up at Selling Sacramento on the radio on Facebook and Key Matthews on YouTube. Today's show, you may have heard there's a home in Citrus Heights that had over 100 offers on it and about 500 additional inquiries after the property went into escrow. My guests today are going to help us talk about, it'll be a little bit of a counseling session probably for some of you if you're in the market. We want to help ease the pain. We want to help calm the fears. We want to help answer the questions that you may have about what this market is actually doing. I want to introduce my guest to you today. I have Miss Christa Proctor. Say hello, Miss Christa from eXp Realty.
Hello.
And I also have Mr. Eric Hellon. And Eric, I want you to tell Eric is a broker. Let's start this conversation with Eric. Eric, tell us where you were 48 hours ago.
Well, I was in the comfy confines of my vehicle as I was sleeping overnight for my clients who are buying a new development in Temecula, California. And so with this particular new development, there's no interest list to join. It's a first come, first serve. We have well over 200 people on the list of people who want to get in. And so if you're not lined up and sleeping overnight for the week, chances are you're not getting one. So that's where I was, nice and bundled up.
That is pretty wild. Now, does that guarantee that you being in line in place like that, does that actually guarantee them a spot? How does that work?
Yeah, so the way that it works is they were releasing 5 properties for this phase. And so all the numbered spots outside where you had to park your car, whatever spot you got into was, the number that you got. However, if you were, say, like my clients, they wanted a particular layout. They wanted the plan 4. So when I got there, this was Monday. Now, mind you, they're releasing actually on a Saturday. So when I got there on Monday, there was one car ahead of me. Luckily, they didn't want the plan 4. They wanted the plan 1. And so they got the plan 1. They're locked in because they're the first spot. And I was locked in the second spot for plan number 4. So if anybody else wanted plan 4 or plan 1, those were the only ones that were being released. So if anybody else wanted them, there was no need for you to stay the night or stay the week because we had them locked in. And the only way.
How did you hear about this? How did you get that spot?
So what they do is, I went out there with my clients. We visited several times. My clients are from New York. They're a military family. And what we were doing is keeping our eye on the emails. So they sent out an email blast first thing Monday to say, hey, this phase is getting ready to be released Saturday. And so once you get that email, you have a decision to make. Either you're going to go out there and camp out, or you're going to try to just show up on a Saturday and hope for the best. Chances are you show up on a Saturday, they're gone.
This is pretty wild. This is pretty wild that it's come down to this. So, Eric, you and Christa both have heard about this property that received over 120 offers in Citrus Heights. What is going on here? Just from both of you. Let's start with Christa.
Well, it's interesting because we have a client who actually made an offer on that property. So we were blown away. It was my partner's client. And we always, right now in this market, even the very best top agents are having a hard time getting their clients into a house. And so we're all working every angle we have. We're, calling the agent, calling all of our friend agents saying, hey, do you know this agent? Put in a good word for us type of thing. And this particular agent just, we could tell, all right, her phone must be blowing up so much because she couldn't even return a text or a call. So we were kind of going in blind, not knowing, what was important to the seller, what was important to the agent, all the above. So we just wrote the best terms, or my partner wrote the best terms possible. And her clients, it was their first time writing an offer. So we knew they probably wouldn't get it because they weren't yet ready to go as high as we knew they'd probably need to go. And that's okay because, they're getting their feet wet and then the market will instruct them as they go. So we're fighting just as hard for them. So let's see, a couple days later, we got that email that has now gone viral all over the United States. That next day, I shared it with our entire team. I'm like, you guys need to know what's happening right now. I actually teared up when I was reading it out loud to them, thinking how discouraging this could be for buyers right now. And the thing is, I will regularly, when I list homes, I will regularly price just under market value. Not because I want 100 offers, not at all. I that would be a nightmare. But I want at least 2 or 3 because that way my clients will have a little bit of leverage. Usually it will not affect the end price point, but it will affect my client's ability to negotiate better terms. That's all, And so, I get that. And so I thought, I'm just going to run comps on this as if I were the listing agent. Like, did she price this way low? Is this in a location that we just weren't, factoring in? Because there are some higher value areas of Citrus Heights, and then some that aren't, don't you typically get values over 500,000. Right. So I ran the comps myself, and I thought she priced this like right where I would have priced it. I would have just kept it right under 400 because the highest comp in that neighborhood was 429. And, you kind of would, in a normal market, you might think you might hope to get 425 or 429. So, she's getting, I think, from a lot of people who are just looking at it and bystanders, I think she's getting some flack for way under pricing, but she really didn't.
Right.
There's no way she could have predicted anything over 425.
I had that same conversation yesterday with another agent. And when you think about the Citrus Heights area, if you think about the Sacramento market and different niches, different neighborhoods, and how they're priced in a regular market, you don't expect anything in Citrus Heights to do that. Right. Not in a typical Citrus Heights neighborhood.
No.
So where she priced it, the only thing that I could see that was worth chasing, I shouldn't say it like that, but that would bring that kind of value to the property would have been the swimming pool in the backyard. Otherwise, the house wasn't really remodeled. There was some nice finishes in the living room, but the kitchen was pretty basic. So what is this saying about our market, Eric?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because even with that, they probably had several offers that not only are well above asking, but are totally waiving the appraisal contingency. And so what you have, and as agents, we have a fiduciary to our clients. And so we have to be careful not to go further than writing an offer to now we're writing a blank check. And so we have to be really careful with that. But I'm sure they had offers like that. I just had a listing, same situation where everybody's waiving all contingencies and they're just saying, you know what? I'm willing to pay no matter what it takes to get into this place. And I think it's just that, fear of missing out, people knowing that rates are definitely going up. And so they're trying to lock those in. And so, those are the things that I think buyers are facing right now where they're just kind of making some irrational decisions. And I think as agents, we're there to advise and to encourage and coach them along. Just like Christa said, it's their first time writing an offer. And so you're trying to coach them and they're going to learn quickly. But, you really want to make sure that you're protecting your clients. And so some buyers are just throwing it all out there and it can be dangerous.
Yeah. And I've got some buyers, and I guess I work with buyers on a case-by-case basis. Like, what is your motive behind buying a house right now? Like, what is your goal? Is this your last house that you're going to live in for the rest of your life? Okay, yeah, then the value of the lifestyle you're wanting to find for yourself with, like what Ryan Lundquist called that particular backyard, the pandemic backyard.
Yes.
Okay, great. That, that might be worth it to some people. And the last house I sold in Roseville that had kind of a similar backyard, and it had a junior master suite, and it was all one story. I couldn't believe it. I thought we'll never get the appraisals. So with these offers, the buyer will have to remove their appraisal contingency. And then, or if they don't, that's okay. I just coach my seller that, hey, we're going to shoot for the moon. We might hit the stars, but you're not losing anything if the appraisal doesn't come back this high. Right. So I think it goes both ways. But the buyer, like on the Citrus Heights house, they removed all contingencies up front.
Right. And that's not pretty common, right? Is that almost like a mix of the recipe that you need? So when we say you need to be making a strong offer, if you're a buyer and you're watching the show right now or you're listening, we're going to drop in some nuggets every now and then so that you hear if you're talking to your agent and you're wanting to know how to make a strong offer. Maybe you didn't even know you needed to make a strong offer. Maybe you're a buyer listening and you're telling your agent, how come I can't get the seller to pay my credit cost, my closing costs? How come I can't get the seller to do this and do that? So when we're going to take a break, because my engineer is shaking his head, but he didn't know I was watching.
Phone call.
Oh, he just corrected me. There's a call. We're not going to take the call because we're going to go to break. But when we come back from break, if you're calling, callers, I see a couple of callers. If you're calling, hold on. We're going to take a break. When we come back, we're going to drop some nuggets, take some calls, and continue this discussion. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I'm Agent Key, and we'll be right back.
No, I'm talking about the phone.
Okay, so we need hand signals.
Which one do you want?
This means
take a break.
Take a break.
Okay.
And this means the phone is ringing.
That means the phone ringing. Because the phone is over there. That's what I was pointing.
And you know what? You said that before, and I just have to get used to you pointing over there. Because you can see the light lighting up, but I can't.
I can't see it very well, right? I can see it out of my. That's why I said we need some up here.
Yes, something just flashing.
So I consciously now will peek over.
Okay.
And that's why I pointed that well. Hey.
So next time I have to train myself. When you're subtly pointing that way, you mean the phone is ringing. Got it.
No, you do pretty good with your breaks. So I don't have to bug you that until you get to one too much. Well, I don't have to bug you too much for that.
And I saw the clock. Because we were getting ready to get into something heavy, and I was like, wait a minute, let's take a break and come back to that.
hold the phone.
Yes. Hey, Ronald, we got some viewers tuning in. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you guys are watching, drop us a line from wherever you're watching, something in the comment section and say hello. Hey, Ronald. Hey, Miss Kia. Sac Black Nation. How you doing out there, sir? Hi, Heidi. Miss Heidi. Yes, it does have to do with inventory. Yeah, it's tough all over. In the Northwest, too? Yeah, we're getting the same thing all over. And I think that it's an inventory issue. Hey, Miss Lavella. Hi, Stacy. Stacy says, Eric is a great realtor, always going above and beyond for his clients. Yes, Eric has set the bar, ladies and gentlemen. How do you outdo that? How do you outdo that?
For the record.
Yes. It just don't, I mean, but
I can't say it was that hard. When you have your computer and the internet, you're working.
You say that, that's very humble of you to say that, because if you really think about it, and I just hate to say it, most people wouldn't even take the time. They'd find an excuse. They'd find an excuse to even get on the computer and search. Yeah. Definitely not going to hop in the car and take a trip and go sit. That's a sacrifice, Eric. You might think it's not, but that's a sacrifice. A lot of people could find something else that they could make an excuse for to be doing rather than that. So
a lot of people in that line were questioning their realtors' motives and dedication.
Hey, Miss D, how you doing, lady? So when we come back from the break, if those callers call back, we'll take those calls. I'm sorry.
No, they can't hear you now.
I know. But I think they heard me when I said,
they did.
Okay. And then we'll go into the inventory thing. Yes. Kathy. Oh, Kathy, is this your client? Kathy, Krista. Hey everyone, we're back. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key. We are selling Sacramento. We are live and we are talking about the elephant in the real estate room. 120 plus offers on one house. Is that the norm or is it an exception? And I have with me today my guests, Ms. Christa Proctor and Mr. Eric Hellon, and they are both in the industry, boots on the ground, and seeing this stuff in real time, connected very closely with the, I should say, incident that just has gone viral. Eric just explained how he sat in his car overnight at a development waiting for a spot for his clients just less than 48 hours ago. Christa made an offer on this property, 120 something offers, and to find out later that there were over 500 other inquiries after the property went into escrow. And so before we went to the break, we had a couple of people calling in. If you'd like to call back now, that would be fine. 921-5333. I remember the number, y'all. Give us a call here at the station, 916-921-5333. Maybe you are a buyer in the market right now to buy and you have some questions for myself, Eric, or Christa. Maybe you are an agent and you have a story to tell. We want to hear about it because, and Eric and Christa, you both tell me, I am telling my clients that they need to look out for a couple of things. And before I tell you what those are, will you both share with us what you're telling your clients?
Okay. Well, if they are buyers, I'm just preparing them that you might be writing 10 offers in this market. And it's really going to depend on their tolerance for how high they can go. I'm encouraging to look well below their price point tolerance so that they will have margin to go up. And that pretty much without exception, this last few months, you'll be offering well above asking price just to get looked at, just to get a second look, and being asked to remove your appraisal contingency. So come in with cash out of pocket. So most of the buyers we're working with, they are in a position to do that. And then those that aren't they're kind of tapped out for right now, and they're waiting to see what happens in the next year or two.
Now, when you say tapped out, I think I know what you mean, but for someone who's a buyer and they're maybe considering, what does that mean, tapped out?
They, first of all, they're not prepared to pay any difference out of pocket in appraisal if it comes in low, which interestingly, I'm not seeing appraisals come in low that often right now, even those that are shocking me. So, but they're weary and discouraged because all of a sudden what was affordable is no longer affordable. Mm-hmm. So it's really difficult. Like I remember, I have only been in this for 8 years, and I remember regularly being able to find homes for under 300, under 350. That it's very difficult to find anything that is financeable right now under 350.
Eric, thank you, Christa. Eric, what are you telling your clients?
Yeah, to piggyback on what Chris was saying, we're definitely starting our search price about 40 to 50,000 lower than what they're willing to spend. And every offer that we write up is going to be highest and best. You're pre-approved for this amount. It's a fixed rate, so you're going to lock it in for the next 30 years. We're going to write up an offer at that price. If we go look at a house and the asking price is 50,000 less, it doesn't matter. That's what we're going to write up. And we are going to be protected by the appraisal and can renegotiate at that point. But there's a property that we've put an offer in 75,000 over asking and still get beat out. And so as a buyer, I would say that, definitely write your highest and best. Another thing that, I've kind of seen some agents kind of shy away from this, but, making sure that you put a personal letter with your offer. Yes, the agent does not have to submit it. I know there's some things going around about, hey, is that right? Is that fair? But write it anyway, because I've had sellers listings recently, some that say, hey, don't present me with any letters. I'm just looking at the bottom line. and some that are making their decision strictly based on the personal letter that's coming in. So, write a letter with that offer, connect with that property, let your agent do some background on who those sellers are and see if there's a common connection there. So do a little bit of homework.
So you both said something that I'd like us to talk about, and I hope I remember to bring it up, because I want to also mention, so Ryan Lundquist is watching us, and Ryan is a real estate appraiser here in Sacramento, and he has a real estate appraisal blog. I mention Ryan's data often on this show because data is Ryan's middle name. And so as it pertains to this particular property that's over 100 something offers, one of the things that Ryan mentioned in his stats is that that's kind of, it's a unicorn. It's not the normal. And by unicorn, it's a very rare occurrence in the grander scheme of how many multiple offer situations there are out there. But one of the pieces of conversations that we're also having is, even though it's not 100 something offers that we're seeing, we are still seeing multiple offers and at least 10, if not 20.
More.
Yeah, I see the thumbs going up. You guys want to speak to that?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I probably would never get to 100 offers just because I don't want the headache, but I turn away way more than I actually accept. As people start to call in and just ask, hey, I want to submit an offer, here's where my clients are at, I just tell them, hey, don't waste your time. We're already above that price, or, give them an idea of the ballpark, and just let them know this is where we're at. I don't want to waste your time. I don't want to waste your client's time. And I don't want to deal with 100 plus offers that I now have to negate. So, definitely it's higher than that. Every property that I've listed, we've sold in a week. We're 15 to 20 solid offers. In solid, we're above asking. They're waiving appraisal contingencies. Those are great offers, cash offers, So I definitely say north of 20.
Wow. And Christa?
Yeah, and I would say too, I'm seeing more offers coming in with no contingencies, removed upfront, free rent back for the seller after close of escrow, contingent on the seller finding a replacement property already written into the offer. And, I haven't had a seller not find a replacement. Mm-hmm. And especially once they have a strong offer in hand, they usually decide, even if we sell and rent for a year, it's better than, waiting for down the line. And so I would just say, pull out all the stops. And I will tell you this, it's really strange to me because I'm mainly a listing agent, how very few agents will text me and say what's important to the seller. I'm shocked at that. If your agent's not doing that, I can't believe how many offers I get that they didn't even tell me, hey, I'm texting an offer right now. Can you check to see if you got it? Mm-hmm. And the other thing is, I do not like it when people send an offer with a non-disclosure agreement. Who is that going to help? It's not representing buyer.
So important. Yeah. This is not. And so you bring up a very valid point that we kind of prefaced earlier, which is if you're a buyer entering this market is not a market to be asking for things. This is a market where if you're going to get in it, if you want to learn quickly and have that learning curve be as quick as possible, you want to show that you're putting some skin in the game. We actually had a question from one of our viewers, Eric, regarding the personal letter. Any suggestions on what to include in the personal letter?
Yeah, absolutely. So like I said, if the agent is a good agent, they're going to do some background on the seller. Maybe they're a military background and your military background, connect in that. Or if they have kids and you have kids, connect in that. These are the things that are going to make a difference, because if you're in an area specifically because you want to get into a good school district for your kids or things of that nature, typically that seller had the same thoughts when they bought. And so they're going to reflect back on when they bought and what they were looking for and why they chose that home. And so if you can connect with that, I think that's the key. Talk about your family dynamic, military background, if you can find out their career.
They can find a common connection.
Absolutely.
And I think that on the ethics side of it, where we're hearing people say, no, don't do that, and they're trying to say, it's not a good idea, is because a lot of people often like to put photos in there.
Right.
And then the photos might discourage the seller. But, we're all adults. if you send your photo, you know the environment that we're living in right now.
Right.
So that's on you. So again, I agree with you. It's just like the wild, wild west out there right now.
Yep.
It's just very odd. And Christa, you used a word to describe it, and I can't remember what it was. It was like you said it was you didn't say unusual. It was something like unusual, but I'm like, oh my God, yeah, that's it. This is just like
it's bizarre. I think I've said before, but it's also a little unpredictable. My sellers are now asking me, what do you think I can get? Honestly, I used to think I knew.
But now, you have a $400,000 house
price, but now I don't know.
You list for $400,000, and then you end up getting an offer for $6 million. It's like there was no way I could. And then your seller is looking at you like, how come you didn't anticipate I was going to get $6 million? I actually had a potential client. She got upset with me because back in the beginning of the year, I gave her comps for her property. Right. The comps were the comps.
Yep.
2 months later, when she's ready to sell, she tells me, oh, I got another agent who's going to do it higher. I think I could get, it was like $50,000-$60,000 more than the comps. I said, okay, be my guest. I'm staying conservative. I'm not a genie. I know what's going on, but if that's what so then she comes back and she actually posts on her Facebook page, I can't believe the agent I had hired before told me this, and I got that. Well, you done listed your house 3 months later.
Totally different. Yeah.
Totally different environment. And then, want to try to put me under the bus. But I got a radio show, so boom.
Hey, there you go. We won't call names. We won't call names.
But I do want to say this. We have a question from Ronald, my dear friend Ronald. Are you finding comps that fit higher prices? And Christa, you had said earlier, some of the comps aren't coming in like that.
No, but here's the crazy thing. So this Citrus Heights listing, okay, what will it shock us if it appraises at whatever that purchase price is? It will probably appraise because there's too much proof that the market's willing to pay and that the market finds that value is there. And so appraisers, what I've learned from Ryan is that appraisers do have to factor that in. My Roseville sale that I priced it, I thought 10,000 below the comp, and it was a hard one to comp. I think it went 55,000 over asking price. And I said, there's no way we'll get the appraisal, but I'll fight for it just in case, and lo and behold, the appraisal came back at value. And it was a reputable appraiser I had worked with before. I was still shocked. There was nothing in the neighborhood to justify it other than just the sheer market activity. So now what does that do to the net? It's like this chain reaction, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the next.
And that's what I'm thinking. And I know since we've got Ryan watching us, maybe Ryan can help answer this question. There are some normal comps that we're receiving that are at market value, but now with the other higher properties starting to close, these are now becoming the comps.
Right.
And so now are these higher offers going to be justified? I'm making the assumption, yes. Does the appraiser have any wiggle room to kind of assess that, they threw in $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 on top of this purchase, and it doesn't really justify the price that, I don't know. It just is kind of like I feel like we're heading back to 2008 in some form.
In some ways, yeah. I don't think we're going to see it quite the same, but definitely there were people waiving appraisal contingencies at that time too, and a lot of cash offers being made. I think the biggest thing that, as agents, what we have to do, because I run comps, and I, like you, Key, I'm very conservative. Here are the comps. Here's what I'm going to list it for. But now more than ever, I've been reaching out to all the other agents and saying, hey, how many did you get? How many were above asking? They're not going to give you a specific number, but at least it gives you an idea of, hey, if there's 12 other people out there looking to pay that much more for the house, and then I can get a little more confidence in going up above our comparison.
Right. And that is something that I do also when I do comps, because you can go back to the comps now and pull it up, and at the closed comp, it'll tell you how many offers that property received.
Yep.
So, is it justified for an appraiser? It sounds like that justifies the appraiser giving it the value, but is the appraiser at the same time perpetuating this awful cycle by doing it?
Yeah.
Ryan.
Yeah, I know Ryan probably has some things to say about that, but yeah, I think ultimately too, and to not discourage everybody, it's not that you have to waive all your appraisal contingencies. I'm sure each of us have had clients that have got into a deal and they didn't waive everything. And so, there's things that you can do just to improve your offer. One of the things, like Christa said, maybe you can cover some of the gap, 5 or 10,000 more, than your offer if it comes back low or whatever the case may be. But, don't feel too discouraged that if you're not waiving all contingencies, if you're not all cash, then you're just out of luck, and it's just not true.
Right. I agree. Ryan did weigh in. He said appraisers have to weigh the comps. If they are legit, appraisers can use them. Sometimes if something closes way too high, then it really might not be an indicator of value. Right. Just because it's sold doesn't mean it's actually a reasonable representation of value. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen. And so if you're out here in this, I can't call it anything else except a game right now. I don't even know. It's not a legitimate market. Is it fair? I feel bad to say that because this is my bread, Yeah. This is how I make my money. So I'm telling my clients this. If you are out here making offers, you need to be prepared, number one, to go in much higher. So that means you have to have the liquidity to do it. Right. $20,000, $30,000, $40,000. With that being said, this is an investment, not just shelter. When you invest in an investment, the goal is to make some money off of it eventually. If you're buying it just to be a house, pay whatever. And I think one of you said earlier, if this is going to be your forever home, go all in, grab everything out the life savings account and throw it at the house because This is the time to do that. But be prepared to stay at least 5 to 7 years so that you have an opportunity to gain back that money that you've put in because you are going in upside down. Now, some agents might get upset about that and say, but you don't know where the market is going to go. But we do know this, eventually houses are going to start trickling back onto the market through construction, through new home construction, because when they build big, they build in masses. We do know this, buyers are human and they're getting tired and fed up. And it's just a matter of time before they start tapping out and saying, I'm not doing this anymore. Because some people don't have to buy a house. Which brings us to the third point. Interest rates are low right now. And that's a huge driving factor of why there are a lot of people out there trying to buy because the cost to buy is so inexpensive. But as soon as those rates start creeping back up, as soon as that inventory starts coming on the market, and as soon as those buyers back out the same way sellers backed out when COVID hit, because they didn't want to be exposed to the potential health hazard, then we're going to see those prices start to drop. And if you are in over your head, your house is going to be upside down.
Yep.
When that's going to happen, I don't know. Nobody's got a crystal ball, but those are the things that are going to happen. Can something else throw a monkey wrench in everything I just said? Can we just say GameStop?
Right, exactly.
How much more liquidity can the Fed put into the markets and the system, and how much more stimulus money can be printed, and how far can the government kick the forbearance and the eviction moratorium down the road? We don't know. It is very similar to the stock market because that money creation has to go somewhere. It's going into the stock market and real estate markets right now. And I can't concur enough, Keisha, with what you said about just your timing. What's your purpose in buying this house? So if it's really just because, I tell everybody, do you think you're going to sell within the next 5 years? If so, I would be really careful right now about buying.
Yeah. Definitely plan to hold it. So if you don't plan to live there for the next 5 years, definitely plan to hold it. Now, one way you might make out like a bandit is if you do need to sell, if you buy now and you do need to sell, you can rent that puppy probably for more than what you're paying in mortgage.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's what I was going to say. I mean, those are the two biggest things that are driving it are the interest rates. Obviously, when COVID hit, I thought for sure the market was just going to come to an absolute stop. And because the interest rates were so low, that's the only thing that kind of motivated people to really get out there. And then, like you just touched on, Key, the rents were so high. So that's kind of forcing people like, I'm not going to go pay rent for what I could be paying to purchase. And so when you put those two together, then you're really going to have a strong force, and the demand is going to be there. And as we come into the seasonality, spring and summertime, and as properties start to hit the market, I think, yes, we're going to see some leveling off, which is going to be great for everybody. But I just don't see, I'm not one of those people that are like, hey, the market's going to crash. It's not coming anytime soon that I can see. But, so.
Right. No, I agree with you. The market crashing is not, that's not something that I see happening because of what's happening. The markets crash if we look back at 2008, there were 3 reasons that are different today than there were in 2008. There were crazy, bad, awful loans.
All right.
If you qualify, and I've said this on my show a dozen times, if you qualify now for a home, you really qualify because they're checking you out up until the day you close escrow to make sure that you qualify. That's the first thing. The second thing is the amount of inventory, which is the purpose of this discussion. The inventory was so excessive, and we just don't have that right now. So that's huge. And then the third one is the type of buyer. They were investors that were the majority of individuals who were buying up all of these properties, big companies like Blackstone, investors from, Asia, and they were buying up gobs of properties that then later turned into rentals, and then they were foreclosed on. And every other block, we could see a foreclosure.
Yep.
We don't have that happening right now. A lot of people are buying. They're coming from the Bay Area to live, not coming to invest. They're trying to escape the Bay. So those are 3 huge factors that were part of the cause, or, a majority of the cause of the crash. And we just don't have that mix right now. Any thoughts about that?
Let Christa jump in.
I guess I agree with you both that I don't see it crashing anytime soon. I think that wild card is what will happen with the 11 million homeowners that are behind on their mortgage payments right now. So we just don't know. In the great financial crisis of 08-09, the government bailed out the banks, and now the citizens are not going to stand for that. Like, don't bail out the banks without bailing out taxpayers.
Right.
And so that's what they're doing now with, foreclosure eviction moratoriums and forbearance and stimulus money to help people. So is that here to stay? Some people, I just listened to an economist this morning who used to be, so the question is, are we in a deflationary environment, which would be like a crash, or are we in an inflationary environment? And he used to be deflationary all the way, but he said that the thing that's different now and that changed his mind this last year is that there are so many structural changes in the global economy, and all of our economies are tied together. It's not just the US economy we're talking about. It's every central bank on the planet and every government on the planet. And so it's all tied. So, I just think that's a big unknown. And we've really never in our lifetime, no one alive now has seen these kind of structural systemic switches turned on.
Right.
So I don't know. I feel like, of course, our market, we have to look at our local market, but we also have to look at the big picture and realize that we're, being affected by that too.
Right. That's a great perspective, because often I talk about how the real estate market is local, and the things that are happening here, as people are listening to the news, they're typically talking about the news from a national perspective. So you really have to be careful what you're hearing as it pertains to real estate to make sure it's applying to what's actually happening here in Sacramento. But you are absolutely right. As we try to look long term,
right,
we have to look outside. Technology has been a huge factor. I saw a post today where someone purchased a home, a virtual home, $500,000 using Bitcoin.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So you're talking not a physical home that they're going to live in?
You can't do nothing but hang that thing on the wall.
It's got value. Yep.
And somebody just paid $500,000.
Are these those NFTs?
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. And so, you know, where are we going? Because we know that things like that are just a kind of like a trial period that are going to lead towards something else. They're kind of like pulling back the cover of a new frontier.
Sure.
So this entire to try to predict where it's going, we don't know. But if you're a buyer, I think what we're saying overall today is that you proceed with caution, be wise, don't get in the market beyond your means, and plan to stay for as long as possible. We're going to take another break. And when we come back, we're going to close it out with some last thoughts from Christa and Eric. Thank you all for watching. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. Thank you all for listening. I'm Agent Key, and we'll be right back. Why are you laughing at me?
I didn't say a word.
I forget, watching and listening. And listening. Thank you all for watching. Thank you. Gracias. You guys are amazing. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I knew it was just going to be a nice, healthy conversation because, and Christa, you started venting, girl. I said, okay.
I know.
I don't like it when they
I get it. Right. I get it.
And if you're listening to me, you no more offers without telling me you said the offer. Christa, if you're an agent and you're watching right now, but that's a very good point that you make. Absolutely. You don't know how many times I've found offers in my spam, and I'm like, oh!
I know. Well, also people need to understand and know what kind of agent are they working with.
I was going to touch on that. Yeah, absolutely.
No, like how does their agent work? Anyway, because if they're using a cousin who just got their license a month ago, they might.
We need to talk about that when we come back. From the break.
No, we definitely do. We definitely do. I think that plays a big role.
You have a strong agent to make it. If you're going to be in here fighting, you need an agent with some muscle. And unfortunately, this is not necessarily the market. And I hate to say a brand new agent, but an agent who's not, who doesn't have a quick learning curve, would you say?
Right.
And a good mentor.
That's good. Who are they under?
Yeah, if you don't know how to overcome these obstacles, if you've never seen these obstacles, and you're going to be stuck. Mm-hmm. And we did training for all of our agents just a couple of weeks ago, and we talked to them. I said, hey, if you got 12 buyers, and guess what? You got no food with your meals. Because if you can't get them into a contract, then there's nothing you can do. You got to go a step further. And we laid out different things that you can do to go find properties for your clients, because you cannot sit back and wait for things to hit the MLS and hope that you can get in. Too late.
Can you share some of that when we come back with some of the things that you shared with your agent? Because I think there are some agents that are watching who would love to know what they might be able to do to strengthen their offers. And then some buyers who are watching, or people who are potential buyers who want to know what they can do, what they should tell their agents to do to strengthen their offer. Because some people do need to buy right now. They're pressed to buy. And
I always say, if you're approved to get a fixed loan for the next 30 years based on your income, and you're not just living to pay the mortgage, you absolutely need to be buying. I am a big proponent of throwing away money on rent. And so you have to get into something. And if it means that, yes, you're going to have to fight that much harder, fight. Let it be a part of your journey. Let it be a part of your story, and making it that much sweeter when you get the keys. Mm-hmm. But the alternative is to quit. And, there's no alternative. So
now you don't have to repeat everything you just said. Great.
That's covered.
Okay. Hey everyone, we're back. You're listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key, and I am with Miss Christa Proctor of eXp Realty and broker Eric Hellon. And Eric, during the break, was talking about some tips and techniques that they share with their agents on what they could do to help make their buyers' offers stronger. Eric, can you go into detail about that?
Absolutely. So yeah, we were just talking about, we just had training for our agents a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about, everybody's got buyers right now. And if you don't have listings, what can you do to go out and create opportunities for your buyers? Now, any homeowner nowadays is probably getting bombarded with postcards and all kinds of information. Hey, I can list your home. Hey, I can list your home. But really, for our agents to have a buyer, we need to tap into that story. What's your buyer's story? What is their scenario? What's their situation? And then find the homes that fit their criteria. Talk to your title company. If you're an agent, talk to your title company, work with them to say, here's what my buyer's looking for. Show me all the homes that are potential listings that would match up for them. Let's play matchmaker here. And then as an agent, go out and contact these folks. Go knock on the door and say, hey, I have a buyer. Here's their situation. They'd love to buy your home. So they know that you're not just making up a story just to list the home. Play matchmaker, sell it off market. That way you can ensure that your buyer gets the sale, and that way you can create an opportunity for them. So as an agent, yes, we absolutely have to play matchmaker. We have to go a step further, and it's going a step further than just sending out a postcard to a potential seller. Go knock on doors, call them up, find those people who are potential matches for your buyers.
Mm-hmm.
Create opportunities. And so, yeah, the biggest thing as a buyer, put your agent to work. Find out what they're doing to find off-market opportunities. If it hits the MLS, it's too late. You're competing with the 122 other people and trying to get your offer accepted. But if you can find an off-market opportunity, if your agent's willing to do the work and find that opportunity for you, then they can play matchmaker and help you find a place that's exactly what you're looking for. And it'll help some potential seller who may be in a situation where they're moving out of state, or they haven't really crossed that border to say, yes, I want to sell my home, but that extra motivation, knowing that they can close quickly without hitting the market, they may be willing to go ahead and put that offer together.
I never thought I'd hear someone say, if it hits MLS, it's too late.
Yep. That's the market we're in. If you cannot compete, then you gotta bend the rules. You gotta bend the rules in your favor. You gotta go find the deals before they, everybody knows about them. And
now, you both had mentioned during the break, talking about the client knowing who their agent is. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing too, I know Christa, I'll let Christa jump in here because I don't want to hog all the time, but just knowing that, hey, if you have an agent that's newer to the industry, they don't really necessarily know how to handle the obstacles that you're coming up against, then you need to find another agent. You need to talk to them, say, what are you doing that's going to help me win? You have to win. Like Key said, this is a game. How can I win? And if they don't know, if they have no solutions for you other than sending you homes as soon as they hit the market, that's not going to cut it.
That's good. Christa?
Yeah, I think that is important that you're working with an agent who could either get your offer either accepted or at very minimum a counteroffer, or at least, if nothing else, they should know exactly what it's going to take, what is the price and terms it will take to even compete for this house. And that way you get to decide, and you're not going in blind on every offer. You should never have to feel like you have no idea what it's going to take. You should actually have an idea on every property what it will take to get that house.
I was going to just jump in real quick on that because, like Christa said, when you're getting, if nobody even sent a text to say that, hey, I sent in an offer. I mean, I would get offers on my listing and they're like, hey, we're all cash. We can close in 5 days. I'm like, you don't even know that my clients want to stay in this place for the next 2 months and they're buying a different product. You don't know the story. So, that offer means nothing to me. You haven't even invested the time to find out what is the situation with my seller. So
what I'm hearing you both say is that the agent, when they're presenting themselves to their client, they need to come with a plan. And then the buyer needs to be asking the questions, what is your plan for getting my offer submitted and selected? Absolutely. And then the agent in turn needs to come with a plan that's saying, here's what we're going to do to view properties. Here is how I'm going to present your offer. And it should include reaching out to the listing agent to find out the position of the seller. What do they need? What do they are they looking for all cash? And I like to tell people, you have to create the narrative that you want the listing agent to convey back to the seller as well, because you aren't guaranteed that listing agent is even professional, even understands how to take your offer from email and give it to the lender. You have to kind of act like you're dealing with an agent on a third grade level and talk them through, not to demean them, but you got to kind of hand over hand. Hey, here's my offer. Let's start with putting the offer address and the fact that it is an offer in the subject line of the email. Can we just start there?
It's there, yeah.
How about completely filling out the offer as well? And the other thing is, the lender should be calling the listing agent, and the listing agent should not have to chase down any information at all.
Right.
Because if you have even 10 offers and you're chasing down 10 lenders to find out how far along are they, is their file complete, so I like it when I can always tell the buyer's agent, and I have to know, do I want myself and my client to be married to them for 30 days?
Right.
And first of all, if they're arguing with me about anything, if they ask me what's important and then I tell them and then they tell me why that shouldn't be, wrong answer.
Yeah. I see. That's why I love you, Christa. We're cut from the same cloth. And I'm at a point at this stage in the game where I don't work with everybody. I just don't.
Yeah.
If you've reached out to me and we've had a conversation and you haven't heard back, now you know.
Yeah. Secret's out.
Because everybody is not for everybody. But that I'm really making an important point. If you want to do well in this market, you need to team up with somebody who matches your energy.
Right.
You need to team up with somebody not only who matches your energy, but who knows what they're doing, like Eric and Christa just explained. The listing agents are on a mission. Most listing agents that I know are very professional, by the way. They're the ones that we see out there over and over again. We run into their listings all the time. They've got a system and a process in place. And you have to adhere to their system and their process. Some agents don't want you calling them, and they don't have to have you calling them. You can text, you can email. And if they're saying don't call, that means that they're being very attentive to their text and their email. And so then when you get mad because they didn't answer your call, but then their voicemail says text or email, and yes, I'm talking about myself, then you ain't hurt nobody but your own client. Right. There's a reason that there's a system in place. And unfortunately, there are different systems with different transactions. And so you have to be flexible as well. And so I really appreciate all of the information that you both are sharing. I thank you for your time on the show today. And for everyone listening and watching, tell us how to get a hold of you two superstars. What company are you with? What area do you work? What's your niche and what's your contact information? Let's start with Christa.
Well, my phone number, text is always the best for me. So but I do return phone calls, but it's like 24 hours. So 916-612-3733. And I'm with eXp Realty, and I have a wonderful team of agents, and I work 100% by referral. So I have car, will travel, and Tri-Counties area. I'm all over the place. So. And
how about social media, Facebook, website?
My website is callchristanow.com. Email is Christa@callchristanow.com. But if you search for me on Facebook, I'm there, personal and business page. So yeah.
And that's CHRISTANOW.com, ChristaNow.com.
Right.
Okay.
CallChristaNow.com. Right.
Call Christa.
Yeah. And I have to say, Keisha is one of my favorite people. I love you, Agent Key. You're amazing.
I put your check in the mail, honey. Thank you. No, Christa is my sister in Christ. I love her we are on a whole other level, and it's beyond real estate. And I appreciate her so much. You guys don't know. There are just some people that you make these connections with on the planet, and you know that God sent them into your life. And Christa is one of those people. So thank you, my honey. Thank you. Eric, tell us how to get a hold of you, sir.
Yeah, I think the fastest and easiest way is definitely Facebook, Instagram. I'm just Eric Hellon, Hellon like Hellon Wheels, so Hellon. You know, you can find me there.
Pronouncing your name right.
Oh yeah, oh it's hard. It's hard everywhere we go, so you're okay.
Okay.
Yeah, no, so that's the easiest way. If you go to my website and you try to reach me, you're going to go through a whole system of, you know, my whole follow-up team and everything like that. So if you just want to get a hold of me, go to my social media. I serve all of California, so I live in San Diego. I'm from Sacramento. Before COVID hit, I was up there every 2 weeks. Now I'm up there less than that. But, you know, I have a team of agents up there. Obviously, you know, team of agents down here. I am the broker of Kaizen Realty. I'm also the managing broker of Military Mutual down here in San Diego that has a focus on military families. And so, you know, just we work the whole state, and eventually we'll be nationwide. So
I appreciate both of you, your humility, because you are some heavy hitters in the industry, and you were just so kind about, you know, jumping on the call today. I appreciate you both. And if you guys go to Eric's website, it is amazing. I got to find out who your designer is. It's very nice.
Thank you. I'm just glad you didn't say anything about the photo, so we're okay.
No, I told you you were eye candy today. I told you your job today is the eye candy.
We get the R&B cover. Don't mind.
Yes.
You know, if you want my photographer and the Photoshop work, you know, got you covered.
I won't even tell you who I think you look like. You probably get it all the time.
Uh-oh.
I'll be sure.
I'll be sure, yeah. All the time. I'm sure.
Thank you again. Thank you both so much. Everybody, thank you for listening. Everybody, thank you for watching. You've been listening to 97.5 FM KDEE. I am Agent Key. And remember, if you are doing what you were created to do, I will see you at the top. It hasn't been easy. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, this was great.
Awesome. This was so fun.
Yes, and I'm going to, this is going to live on for, I'm going to boost it for 7 more days. Okay. So I'm going to add all of your contact information in this. It's going to post to my Selling Sacramento on the Radio Facebook page. So you might get some leads from there, just giving you a heads up. They might say, hey, I heard you or saw you. So just know that that thing is going to be living on for 7 more days. But then, of course, it just sits there. So who knows where it will end up.
I love it because this is such a great resource for my clients.
Yes.
So, yeah. I'm going to share it with my clients, and they can really like have a, it's not just me saying this. Look at
right.
Yes. Double information. Right? Yes. I love this. This is jam-packed and very valuable information. You're right. And I'm also going to put this on Instagram, and YouTube, of course, it'll be there as well. But I won't hold you. I am, again, so just thankful for you guys. Y'all just don't know. Thank you so much.
Thank you. All
right. See you guys. You too. Bye-bye.
Bye, Eric.